Hey everybody, welcome to Average Joe's Drive-In, episode number 71. And with me this week, all the way from the land of the Ohio, is my friend Erik Marner of the Movie Freaks podcast. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing pretty darn good. How are you?
Not too bad for a lovely Sunday afternoon, enjoying the nice weather here in Maine and kind of relaxing, doing a few things around the house and doing some podcasting.
Awesome. I'll just come clean right now to all of your listeners. I just came from a 7-year-old's birthday party. That's right. I am a couple of Coors deep.
All right. It's going to be one of those podcasts. All right.
Yeah, my in-laws, when we all have kids' birthday parties, they don't shy away from the welcome to the party. Here's the beer.
Well, see, they know. They know that's the only way you guys are going to survive without ripping hair out and, screaming and hollering. And because when you get, like, more than one child in a place of that age, it's just utter chaos. So, yeah.
And it was. And it was the first time that we were all together for their new pool. And kids were all trying to get swimming in as the storm was rolling in. And it was chaos, but it was actually a pretty measured chaos for how it usually goes.
Well, that's good at least. It wasn't too like super duper crazy anyway.
Yeah.
So by the way, the Movie Freaks just recorded episode 200, and that's pretty awesome. I just want to congratulate you and Eugene and Steven and the people that are part of that. A big congrats on 200 episodes.
Thanks. It's pretty crazy to think that. We only do like one a week, and we take maybe 2 weeks off a year. There you go. It's been 4 years in the blink of an eye. That's crazy that it's gone so fast, and it's wild how much improved the show has gotten over time as you get experience doing it, and just even with the quality of our recording has improved vastly. But
for sure, man. Because I have been going back and listening to your older episodes as when I have weeks, I try to keep current with the few podcasts that I listen to on the regular. And, but occasionally somebody skips a week or there's something going on. So those weeks when that happens, I'll go back and grab one of your older episodes. So I think I'm back to episode 122 is the one I'm listening to right now.
Yeah, you're still kind of in the good zone. When you get back past pre 80, 90 in that era, it gets a little, it's not as bad as the first, the YouTube show stuff, like the classic episodes. Those were ones that are really, I took, Skype and turned my microphone around to record Skype and me at the same time, the speakers, it was just not good. But that was, practice and cutting our teeth and figuring out how we're going to do this thing and make this show what it is.
Oh, for sure. You're just, it's like anything. The more you do it, the more you learn. And,
yep.
And it's going to improve. I would probably have my show sounding like complete dog shit all the time if it wasn't for your help and guidance. You're like the Gandalf to me of the podcast, world. So.
No, I just started earlier than you. That's the only difference. You probably actually have more recording quality knowledge than me because of you were more intensive with the band background than I was. And so, but yeah, I just made a bunch of those stumbles because I started before you. That was it. And so it was easy for me to communicate to somebody who knows recording. Oh, do this and this. It's real easy. A couple of real quick, easy tricks.
Oh, and that has made my life so much easier. I've just been able to take that and just apply it to what I'm doing, and it's made things easiher for me and more consistent quality wise. So
yeah, your show sounds great too.
Yeah, thank you, dude. I definitely appreciate all the help you gave me, kind of getting going, and I'm 71 episodes in now, so I haven't even been doing the show for quite a year, so I can't believe I've managed to put out that much content in under a year. But
you know a lot of people. Holy shit, you know a lot of people.
I do, and it's and I think I was discussing with you, and I've kind of mentioned on the last couple of shows a little bit about there's going to be probably starting in July or August, there's going to start being a little bit of changes to the show's format. Not so much in the show itself, but how the episodes are going to work, because doing 2 episodes a week on a regular basis is just getting to be way too much for me, trying to do everything else.
Yeah.
And I love doing the review cast episodes, and I love doing the interview episodes, so I don't want to stop either one, but I'm also getting to the point where it's getting to be too much of a labor to do both consistently every week.
I understand. It's hard for us being married and having kids, and not to each other, but
not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, just the way I worded it was dumb. But to even do 1 episode a week, sometimes it's almost too much. So yeah, I completely understand doing more than one it's crazy.
And it's just like the big thing, I think that's what's going to happen, probably starting around to the end of July, early August, is once I get through the guests that I already have booked, which I'm pretty much booked right up until the end of July, early August, I am going to be going to an every other week format. Meaning I'll have an interview episode 1 week, review cast episode the next week, interview episode 1 week, review cast. And I'm going to do it that way. That way I can do both. That way I don't get burned out. And there will be times like during October, during the Horathon month, that I'll probably be doing some double episodes, there'll be times where, there'll be a little bit of both going on, but it's not going to be a regular thing.
Sure.
And that's for my own sanity and the fact it's just so hard booking guests from all over the country and trying to line up schedules and make sure people are able to do it and things come up. And then you're just, so I think this is going to make life easier for me. And I'm not going to overload my listeners with too much content, because I know how that is sometimes when you're trying to keep up with a bunch of different shows and people are putting out multiple episodes a week. Sometimes it gets to be a bit too much.
Yeah, especially for somebody like me. I'm on the road all day, so I'm listening to podcasts pretty much the whole time I'm at work. And so there's like 20 or 30 that I subscribe to, but and some of them are multi-episodes per week, like Rogan and Marin and stuff, and I just can't get to all of them all the time. When they do that, it has to be a guest I really like, or it has to be a topic that I'm really interested in. Otherwise, it just gets put on the back burner, and it might be a while till I get to it, because to me, the weekly is the best, in my opinion. That's what works best for somebody who's a hardcore podcast listener like me, is one a week, and maybe twice a year you take off. And you know what? When they do take off, my favorite ones, I'm like, God damn it, where's that episode? But when they come back the next week, I'm doubly excited. Like, yes, finally, I'm ready.
Chomping at the bit, ready to,
Absence makes the heart grow fonder and all that.
So something else by doing this, I think on a every other week schedule too, is I think my interview episodes are going to maybe go like 10 or 15 minutes longer than what I've been doing. So more in that like hour and a half range. And, and the review cast, the same idea. Like I've been kind of trying to keep it to 7 or 8 reviews per episode, which seems to be kind of a sweet spot. But I think if I'm only going to be doing them every other week, I might add, 1 or 2 more in there.
Mm-hmm.
So, the episodes will be slightly longer by maybe 10 or 15 minutes, but they won't be as frequent.
That makes sense to me.
So, especially with the interview episodes, because so often I could keep, it's like I try to keep the time like kind of reasonable, but there's times, especially when you get those good ones that are just flowing so well, and it's like, man, I really don't want to stop, but at the same time, I don't really need to turn this into a 3-hour episode either.
Maybe not, but what you could do is you could do the 3-hour episode and then split it into 2 parts.
That's always true too. Do a 2-part.
If you got a good convo going, keep it going.
Yeah. Like this last interview episode I did with my friend Calvin Strange. Yeah. We were having a great time, and it was like, that was one of the longest episodes I've done. It was almost 2 hours long, and we could have easily gone another hour. But, so
awesome. I haven't started that one yet, but I am going to listen to it.
That's definitely one of the funner ones I've done, because him and I have known each other for a long time, and we only see each other every few years. So
right.
It was fun. We get to kind of catch up, and it was interesting, and it was a good time. If you guys haven't heard it yet, and you're listening to this one, what's wrong with you? I'm very, very upset with you for not listening to these older episodes. Because between then, there's also been a new review cast that just dropped.
Yes, I saw that
on Sunday. So yeah,
they're downloaded. I got to get back to work on Monday, and they're top of my list to get to.
Yeah. Oh no, I hear you. I actually listened to your 200th episode yesterday, and on my way, I went down to go have lunch, and down to Bangor. So that's a 45-minute ride for me, and then 45 minutes back. So I basically listened to the whole thing, half down and half back. So,
perfect.
So that way, I'm staying on topic and topical to what's going on in Movie Freaks Land. So
it's funny, even when we take a week off, because we took a week off before the 200th episode, and that was mostly because we were dealing with illness and sickness. I had this weird 24-hour bug going around my house where one kid was throwing up all night, then my wife was, and then I was, and it's just like I can barely talk. Period. So we're just gonna take a week off, and even taking a week off, it's like it takes a minute to get back into the routine again.
Oh, for sure. It's like you get because you get so used to that mindset. Because I've had that a couple times where due to illness this year, I've had to skip a week, or it's that first week back is really odd.
Yeah,
it's just like. So, and that's part of the reason I do want to keep doing an episode every week and splitting it up. But, like I said, it will help with my sanity, and I don't have to worry so much about filling slots and just cramming people in. Cause I started the interview thing to interview all people that I'm friends with and people that I know. And it's gotten to the point now where I'm interviewing, not that I don't enjoy doing it too, but I'm also interviewing people that I've never met or never talked to before, which is kind of weird when you're doing it on Skype and you've never really had a face-to-face conversation. There's always like the first 20 minutes are always awkward because you're trying to feel each other.
Right.
You're trying to feel them out.
Yeah.
It's, I enjoy doing it, but I started the podcast to interview people that I was friends with already, that I knew kind of had a natural rapport with, that, we could, talk about stuff. And so because I've been doing one a week, it's just like not that I'm necessarily running out of people to do stuff with, but I've had more people ask about being on the show, and it's just, it keeps getting bigger, and that there's not that there's anything wrong with that. And I'm glad people like it and people want to be on the show. But at the same time, I find it's a lot harder for me usually to schedule the people I don't know, because, it's a little more difficult to arrange things and get things set up and then make sure you have enough to talk about. And whereas the people I know, I can just, just gab for hours at a time.
Right. So, right. I mean, I know what you're talking about, because like I've said before on your show, I'm terrible at interviewing people, especially if I don't know them. And I will even, like, I once interviewed, Neil from Clutch, because I was working for a metal magazine. And so I had my little Clark Kent Reporter notebook, and I had pages and pages and pages of questions, and I felt like I really did my research on current or more recent interviews that he's done, so I'm not overlapping questions to make him bored, and really diving into his side projects, and I was really prepared. And then when I was asking questions, I got to like question 3, and his answer wiped out the rest of my questions in my book. And I was just like, so, how's it going?
Do you like things and stuff?
Oh, it got awkward, but it went okay. I steered it to movies, and then I was able to bullshit my way through it.
Yeah, right, yeah. Yeah, sometimes that you kind of almost have to just bullshit your way through those interviews, those with the people you don't know, just to get to a point where you're back on track.
Yeah.
But it usually works out. Usually.
Yeah.
99% of the time. So
as long as I can steer any conversation to movies, I know I can bullshit my way through something.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The subjects, and that's the thing too, with like, the majority of the people that I have on are former musicians and doing other things. So there's always a base of conversation we can go back to.
Right.
There's always the music thing we can go back to, whether, if we kind of run out of stuff to talk about or whatever, there's always other things I know I could go back to with them. So that makes it a lot easier. Whereas if it's somebody that I don't have some sort of a history with through that, then I'm like, I kind of not 100% sure where to go in the conversation. So.
Right.
But so it's it's interesting, but I think in the long run it will be better for the show, it'll be better for me, and I'll be able to kind of keep doing both, and I'm just going to play it by ear for a while and see how it goes, and if I decide to kind of go back to doing the 2 a week, then that's fine too, but that's just the beautiful thing about podcast, and I'm not getting paid to do this, so I can kind of do whatever the hell I feel like, but I also don't want to piss off the regular listeners either at the same time,
Yeah, but people can either choose to listen to an episode or skip an episode. It's not that big a deal. And that is the beauty of podcasting. As long as your audio quality, like one of my biggest triggers is the audio quality. Like I've heard some national renowned podcasts that I'm like, that sounds like a great idea for a podcast. I want to listen to it. And it's been promoted on national stuff. And I go to it and it sounds like a tape recording from a phone answering machine from the 80s. Like it's so bad. I'm like, dude, I mean, you have to like really fuck up to make it sound this bad. Like, what are you doing? And so I'm out. That's just one of my things. I need to be able to listen to it, with some decent sort of quality. But, other than that, as far as content goes, you can do as much or little as you want. It's just whatever your comfort level is, and people will listen or they won't. And it's not that big a deal, to like skip an episode if you're just not into it.
Oh, I fully agree with you there. Like my biggest thing is if audio quality is decent. I mean, it doesn't even have to be like super high quality.
No.
As long as it's decent. And the biggest thing with me with the podcast is I have to find the people I'm listening to interesting. If I don't find them interesting or if they don't have a good chemistry, I'm out. That's one thing that, that's the beautiful thing about podcasting is there's such a bevy of subjects and different people talking about stuff that you're not like just pigeonholed into having to listen to just certain ones. You can go through and listen to them and be like, I love movies. Okay, so I'm going to listen to, I've listened to about a dozen since I started doing podcasting. And there's really only about 4 or 5 that I still listen to just because, not that the podcasts were bad, but they weren't what I wanted out of a podcast.
Right.
So, just they weren't quite what I wanted. And there's been a couple that I really like the podcast, but the audio quality was so bad that I couldn't listen to them,
Yep. I'm right there with you.
So it's one of those things. And, I think the longer you do it, it's one of those things that your show should constantly be improving or at least staying close to the same quality level,
Yeah.
Honestly, dude, there's issues that come up. It happens sometimes, and maybe the audio quality isn't quite as good, but it's not, it's not so bad you can't listen to it because things do come up.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I agree. There are times where people have live shows with their podcasts and, it's different venues, so everybody records differently, and sometimes the way they record it, it's like, this is hopeless. I'm just going to have to skip this episode. Doesn't mean I don't like the show anymore, just, ugh.
Yeah, it's, and I've found I have more issues when I have guests over Skype too, because that's a whole different beast in its own. I'm at the mercy of the recording program I'm using most of the time for that. And
right.
And unless we're doing it where each individual guest is recording their own audio, which is, I found the best way to do it. That was a suggestion you made to me back early on.
Yeah.
And now, unfortunately I can't always do that with everybody I have on though. And sometimes I have to actually take the audio directly from Skype. Maybe they don't have the greatest mic set up. They're just using their computer's microphone or whatever. So the quality isn't quite there, and you can kind of clean some of it up, but there's an old audio engineering saying that goes, I've heard shit in, shit out. You can't make the audio quality sound better if it's garbage to start with.
Yep, I know exactly what you're talking about. It goes back to that thing of being in a band. If you've ever been in a band and been in a studio and been recording, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that was an old saying, I think one of the first producers we ever worked with, that's why he laid that little nugget of knowledge down upon us, and I've kind of tried to take that to heart as much as possible when doing anything audio recording related. Sometimes you're better off to spend a little money, if you can, to have a halfway decent mic or to just to be able to have a decent quality sound, I guess. And there's cheap ways to do a lot of that stuff.
Listen to my show, because I have a $30 mic and a $200 computer. It's the cheapest of the cheap, and ours still sounds a lot better than some big... Do you think that we're just overly sensitive because of our background in recording with bands and stuff?
Probably, because those days of listening to albums and, I could always pick out a good band and a shitty demo, because I understood a lot of times it was a rough demo or whatever. And, sometimes just the cost prohibitive nature of you wanted to get something out, but you didn't really have the means to do it, professionally or whatever. You can kind of take some of that stuff with a grain of salt. And I kind of do the same thing with podcasting, especially when somebody's just getting their show off the ground and they're trying to find their footing. And you kind of get that because, I went through that with my show. The first 40 episodes that I did before I really started getting it where it was somewhat consistent audio quality-wise.
Yeah, right. I know what you mean.
But when you're listening to a show that's like 200, 250 episodes in and they sound like they're screaming into a tin can, that doesn't really work for me.
Yeah, me either. Every time I start a show that has that many episodes, I usually download like the first half a dozen and then the last half a dozen. Cause I want to, I'll start from the beginning, but I'm also going to keep up with the current and then meet kind of in the middle. And, when it's that many episodes and the most recent ones still sound like shit, I'm like, I think we're all good here.
Right. Because, you could be the best host on the planet and that'd be super interesting, but there's a line where you kind of have to find out, figure out how to record and how to edit. And I think the problem is, I don't even think a lot of times the problem is so much that the show itself sounds bad, but I think a lot of people that put their podcast up don't do any editing post.
Yeah.
It's just, we record it, we put it up. They don't clean it up at all. So, or they don't know how, or they haven't taken the time. But if you're going to do your own show and you're going to edit your own show, you need to learn how to do that stuff, in my opinion.
And it's really a minimal amount of effort. Especially now, because you can just go on YouTube and find videos of how to do the shit. But there are too many that I've listened to where it sounds like they have a laptop and they're using the laptop mic. And it's like, dude, you can just go on Amazon and get a USB mic for $20-$30 and it will improve your show drastically.
I'm not going to lie. We're recording this episode and I am using a Guitar Hero microphone for it, and the audio quality sounds fine. 90% of the time now when I do these Skype episodes, this is what I use to do my audio. It's my guest microphone. And I did the first probably, 4 or 5 episodes of the show I did with this because I didn't have another microphone at the time. Now, I'd rather use my condenser mic because I think it's a better quality mic, but this one doesn't sound bad, especially if you can go in and clean it up a little bit post.
Yeah.
It's a Guitar Hero mic. You probably could find one on a yard sale for $3,
And the mic I was using to record before that was one that a Logitech that came with a computer probably a computer I bought in 95.
Nice.
But it did the trick. The only reason I went with a different one is because it it had no forgiveness on the pop, if you know what I mean. So every time, anytime you're pop, it would rip it out the peak, and it was just, I couldn't clean it up.
and that's for those of you who don't know, like, audio terminology and stuff, that's the difference between, you know, like a condenser mic and just a standard microphone.
Yeah.
A standard omnidirectional microphone. A lot of the mics you look at will say condenser or whatever on it, and those are the ones you want, because condenser mics are generally used for bassier, lower end things, from what I understand. I'm not a, you know, sound engineer by any means, but I know there's a big difference in quality level for, like, talking and vocals and stuff like that with a condenser compared to just a standard microphone. But that's the difference between recording and live. Now, live, you don't want a condenser microphone because you lose some of your inflections and you lose some of that grit.
I'm still using this Logitech mic for the Skype because we're, you know, in the spirit of movie freaks, we're so cheap. We have to use two computers, one for Skype and one for recording, because we've had too many times where, if you do both at the same time on one computer, then it skips, the recording skips, and then it's off, track with the other person. And just, so many problems we've had over the years that we've just, you know what? It's just better to, if you have an idea, go for it, charge on, and fix the problems along the way. And eventually you'll figure it out. And, you know, don't be overwhelmed by these kinds of things and just don't do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
At least charge forward.
Creative thinking can take you a long ways.
Yep.
And just troubleshooting stuff and using sometimes the easiest, most simple, weird little methods can help you, you know, figure stuff out and charge forward and make your show better or whatever.
That's so funny. You're using a Guitar Hero mic, and I'm using a Logitech mic from, seriously, 95.
And we're talking about high quality audio.
And what's funny is this show will still sound better than a lot of widely more public shows, or shows that people know much more than ours.
Yeah. You know, it kind of is what it is, I guess.
Yep.
And so what have you been finding good in the old VHS treasure hunts?
Yes.
I know I had a good little score yesterday. I stopped at a random yard sale. There's people in the town I live in. Every town has that person that has that, like, continuous yard sale that just is going on like every other day. There's, you know, and I always stop in like once a year because they always have new stuff. And I was looking too because they always have movies for sale. And you know, they usually sell DVDs for like $1. But I've never seen them have any VHS. But I was like, oh, what the hell? You know, I'll stop in to see what they got, because sometimes you find some decent stuff there. And I went through, and there was like 3 boxes of VHS, and it was 25 cents each or 5 for $1. I was like, all right, I can probably find at least 5 in here. So I went through and I found 10 movies, which I was pretty psyched. A couple of them I already have on Blu-ray, but I needed to buy them just because they were 20 cents. You know, like Escape from New York. I have the, you know, the Steelbook friggin' Scream Factory release, you know, but I'm going to buy that VHS for 20 cents, you know?
Yes, I have the Escape from New York Director's Special Edition something or other VHS, and there's no way I'm passing that up.
No, not for a quarter, 25 cents, you know, that's definitely something I'm going to snag. But so I ended up finding 10 movies anyway, and the lady was talking to me, and she's like, yeah, most people don't buy those these days, you know, they just kind of skip them over. And she's like, I have 4 or 5 more boxes of VHS on the porch, but they're kind of buried. And there was a bunch of people there, but she's like, stop by sometime during the week if you see us out. If not, just knock on the door, and I'll let you go through the boxes and see what's in them. So sometime this week, I got to make a little pit stop and knock on the door and rifle through those, because I'm kind of curious to see what's in them.
Oh, you sent me a picture of what you got, and you definitely scored, and I would be stopping by there as soon as humanly possible. And this is, since it's warm now, we're into garage sale season full swing, and I've stopped at a couple of places, but most of the time it's a bust, but I stopped at this one place where I'm like, you're driving by and you do the real slow neck crane of what do you got in your garage? Oh, I see some tapes. Screw it. I'm pulling over. And I managed to get, they only had like a couple of dozen tapes, and I got another Warner clamshell out of it, of that Clint Eastwood Tightrope movie. So I was like, yes, jackpot. But, the other day I stopped at this one place. I was like, my job, I drive all over the state for my job, and so I get everywhere. I was 2 hours away from my house. I saw garage sale signs. I said, to hell with it. I rarely get over here in this area of the state. I'm going to stop in. And as I pulled into the lane, I was like, ah, damn it. Because I could tell it was a fancier house, which means they ain't going to have dick. If you want garage sailing tip, if it's a expensive neighborhood, they don't have shit. I have not found anything of value at these people's places, but as I pulled, and their family was outside, and they're all outside and playing basketball, and I'm like, nah, I'm committed. I pulled into the driveway, I'm committed. So I went back the lane, and I get out of the car, and I'm like, they got like furniture and stuff outside that's real nice, and I'm like, they're not gonna have, this is a total waste of my time, but I've got to make my courtesy lap of their garbage to see if, whatever. And it turns out then they had like inside their garage area that, it's kind of hard to explain, but it was like mostly set up outside in the yard, and then they had a man door into their garage that, is this their stuff in here? Yes. Okay. So I went in there, 2 gigantic boxes of VHS, and I'm like, fucking jackpot. And there's no prices on it. They're like, just make an offer. And they're selling it for like grandma or something. I'm like, oh yes, this is all lining up perfectly. So I start rooting around. I go through both those boxes. Dude, it was all frickin' common. It was all common. I came out of that with 2 tapes. And what was it? The Money Pit with Tom Hanks and, what was the other one? Dante's Peak, Pierce Brosnan.
Yeah.
Everything else I was like, it was just all regular newer stuff that I'm like very not interested in with the VHS. So
you didn't get those 7 copies of the Titanic?
No, yeah, exactly. It was rubbish, and half of it too was stuff they taped off TV. And I know there's VHS collectors that like to grab that stuff too, but no thanks. I'm not even interested if it doesn't have like the actual case, because I've run into that a lot where it's just the tapes with no case. No.
Now see, with those I could probably buy them without the case, because I still have a whole box of the old video store plastic cases. I have an entire box of those, so I could make my own slipcase for them if I really needed to.
It would have to be something like really sweet. Like it would have to be some serious 80s horror something.
Oh yeah. It would definitely be. I wouldn't buy just like a Joe Schmo common tape that you're probably going to find,
right,
further down the line. But say I come across Night of the Creeps or something like that on VHS, and it was just the tape without the case, I would totally snag that and just make my own slipcover for it just to have it in the collection.
Right. What are your VHS grails?
Well, most of it is I would love to find any of the Italian stuff that I love, like Zombie or Cemetery Man, Suspira, House by the Cemetery, anything Fulci, Argento, Michael Sovi, stuff like that. But there's a lot of, I haven't really, honest to God, put that much thought into my Holy Grail items yet. I kind of found one of them the other day because I'm a huge fan of the movie Erik the Viking, which I love that movie. I grew up with that movie, and I've been waiting to come across it. That copy I found was one of the original Orion releases.
Nice.
Not one of the reissues. So when I got looking for it and looking it up, I was like, holy crap, this is like one of the original releases, not one of the ones that they put out for sale. I think that was probably a rental copy back in the day.
Right.
So
that's nice.
And I'm excited that I found that. But there's a lot of just random stuff like that I would love to find and have, copies of.
Yeah. With me, it would be that 80s horror stuff too. But Like the Fulci stuff, I agree. I would snap that up in a second. But to be honest, that stuff feels like reaching for the stars. But with stuff that I feel like I could maybe find within my grasp is like, Sleepaway Camp and Pieces and,
anything like
stuff
that.
like that.
Anything like that. Basically anything early 90s back horror-wise, if I can find it on VHS, I'm gonna snag it. Because a lot of that stuff I don't have in my collection anywhere. Because a lot of it is insanely expensive to get on Blu-ray or DVD. Because it's just these niche companies like Arrow and, the ones that, Eugene keeps funded by himself, basically,
Oh, he's not alone. He's not alone, but yes, he definitely contributes.
But you know what I'm saying? It's those types of companies, while they do an amazing job on those films and they make them look spectacular and they load them, they're $30 a piece. A lot of those movies, if I have never seen them, I would rather, I'm poor and cheap. So therefore I'm going to go the best route that I can, to the cheapest route I can, I guess, to get that stuff.
Right. And, another trend I've been noticing is more people, maybe we're part of the problem. More people are noticing that people are buying these VHS or that they're having more value on eBay or what have you. Because I'm that kind of collector where, I collect a lot of shit, but I collect movies and I collect comic books and stuff, but I'm not the kind of collector that's like gonna go online and pay $300 for some, limited edition I just don't care that much. I would rather find it in the hunt. And our local, thing here is The Exchange. That's what the name of the store is. The Exchange is your version of a bull moose. And I gotta tell you that a whole horror collection came in while I happened to be there a couple weeks ago at VHS, and there are Warner clamshells in there, and it was just all horror movies. And I was like, yeah! And then I went and looked at the prices, and I was like, fuck you! Because I love The Shining, and if it was a Shining clamshell, I would have considered it, but it was just the regular cardboard sleeve Shining, and it's like they went $3 on it, and I know that $3 isn't that much, but we're talking about VHS here. Like, come on, dude. I'm not paying you $3 for The Shining. I've got that on Blu-ray. I bought it on DVD. No. It's gotta be something special. And it sucks because that's the only place I can seem to find in this whole damn puritanical state of garage sales that actually has horror VHS. And like everywhere else I go, it's just, they have no horror in this frickin' state. But there, at a couple of these exchanges where they turn in these things, they've got big VHS horror collections, and they're all priced $3 to $5. And it's, dude, get out of here. No. If I like a movie that much, I'm gonna buy it in a better quality.
Right. I mean, there might be a few instances here and there where it was something really special that I come across. If I come across maybe a Fulci film or an Argento film or something, I would consider, too. $3 or $4.
I would too. But when we're talking Exorcist 3 and the cover is half ripped to shit and you want $3 for it, no, I don't think so.
So I've been kind of like, I don't usually stop at yard sales because I don't really need anything 90% of the time unless there's something like I'm specifically out looking for. I'm not one of these people that's just going to stop at a yard sale just to browse. I just, but if there's something I'm trying to find or whatever, then, I'll stop in. But I know now that I'm kind of hunting for VHS that I will stop at a lot more just to see if they have any movies,
Yeah.
And then I'll search there. But a friend of mine gave me a tip about another place to hunt for VHS, and I guess they have a pile of them in their quarter piece. So sometime in the next week or two, I got to make the trip there and check it out and see what I can find.
And like I've been looking at more Goodwills and stuff, but some of them I've been finding they must be dumping their VHS. That's all that I can guess, because they have zero, and they even have a sign that says all media, DVD, CD, VHS, all $1 a piece. And $1 a piece is, you're pushing my line already of cost. But when there is 0 on the shelf, I'm like, man, that must mean they must be thrown in the dumpster. That's all I can figure. And I had a conversation with that guy where I got that money pit and whatnot. And he was like, "Do anybody still want these?" And honestly, he was so anxious to get rid of them. I probably could have said, "I'll give you $1. Can I have the whole box?" He probably would have let me have it. But it was all garbage. It was nothing I wanted. Yeah. But I was trying to explain to him that some of these movies have never gone past VHS. And that's what people don't quite seem to understand. And when I say that to them, they stop looking at me like I'm a freak. At least a little bit.
What? You have been downgraded to just slightly odd.
Yeah.
Instead of, you know.
That's right. Movie odd.
Movie odd. Yes. They, you know, and that's the thing. 90% of the stuff that I pick up on VHS is either stuff that I have just super fond nostalgia for, stuff that I don't necessarily need to have it be, you know, HD quality.
Yep. Same here.
As long as it's watchable and it's, you know, and I kind of understand maybe because, you know, we're a little older, so I can consider some of the younger kids maybe not being able to handle the quality because they've never dealt with that.
Yeah.
We grew up with that. So for me, it's just like going back to my childhood and basically how I saw everything as a kid. Yep. So it doesn't really bother me that bad. And I can deal with it on certain movies. You know, obviously newer releases, we aren't getting a VHS release unless you're paying $30 for one of these companies that do like the limited runs and stuff.
Yeah.
But, you know, basically a lot of the older cheesy action films, comedies, or old horror films, I don't care if they're on VHS. That doesn't bother me in the least bit. I don't need to have them in high def. There are films from those eras, especially a lot of the sci-fi films and stuff, I want in high def, especially if they're good.
Yeah.
Because, you know, that's just but, you know, so I mean, and there's movies that I have on Blu-ray or DVD that I've picked up on VHS just because I love the movie and I want it in my VHS collection.
Yeah, me too. And that's another trigger for me, is if it's something that I snap to, like, oh, I walked past this and I recognize it from the VHS rental shelf every single time I went to that store. You know, if it's something like that I remember, walking by all the time, I have to have it. Have to have it. If it's something that I already own, like it's a movie good enough that I already owned it on DVD or Blu-ray, then it kind of depends. I don't know. It depends on certain directors, like that. Again, Escape from New York. That absolutely has to be on my shelf, but not everything does. There are other times I walk past other things where The Abyss, fantastic movie. I love that movie. I don't need it on VHS.
I have it on VHS just because.
That's fine. No judgments here.
But, you know, and it's like and like I said, there are certain movies, like I have a copy of Blade Runner that I just recently bought on VHS. I also have a Blu-ray copy of it, you know, but I had the Blu-ray before I bought the VHS copy.
Yep, that's fine. That's,
you know, and there's a bunch of those films like that. There's certain directors or movie stars that I'm fans of, like, you know, my cheesy 80s action stars.
Yeah.
I have my shelf that's Van Damme, Stallone, you know, Schwarzenegger, Steven Seagal, those types of films that I have just a whole shelf that's dedicated to just them, and I will buy all their movies, whether I have them in other formats or not, just because I'm trying to be a completist with their collections, you know.
Yeah. Hey, it's been great. It has reinvigorated me into collecting again, because after I got married and I moved to a different house after I got married, and we were able to have internet in our house that is super high speed streaming. And my collecting really fell off because I have so much access to so many movies. That's not necessarily a bad thing. But, you know, the VHS really got me into the hunt again. And that's really the fun of it. It's the same with comic books.
Oh, yeah. And digging through the pile and seeing what you find.
It's great. But the frickin' VHS is so hard to find places that... I found a place that sells construction materials. that randomly somebody clued me in like, hey, they got stacks of VHS here. And it's like, why? I don't know why. They got doors and tubs and faucets and shit. And oh, by the way, VHS. It's so random. But, going there and look, I found movies that I've never heard of before. Again, that 80s throwaway direct-to-video action shit that
I found a few of those myself the other day.
I brought them home. I brought home this weird Top Gun ripoff, and it sucks. Like, it hilariously sucks. So bad that I emailed a different podcast about it because they have a segment about bad acting. And they play clips like shit that's so bad it becomes funny. And so I sent them this one clip. And they said my name on their podcast and they played their clip. And that may not be like a big deal. And it's not really, but it just so happens that I'm a fan of them. And so for whatever else I can say about VHS, because I started hunting them down again, I made Kevin Smith laugh. And that is like something I'll take to my grave. Like, I made that guy laugh. That guy's made me laugh for years. For one shining moment, I made that guy laugh. Well, rather a shitty movie that I bought on VHS made me laugh.
Right. Yeah.
But, that little things like that, like, yeah, all right, VHS rules. I love it.
Well, it's so weird because I've watched movies recently. I'm watching one today. It was one of the ones I picked up yesterday on the yard sale. It's called Blackjack. It's a Dolph Lundgren is the star. It's a John Woo film. I've never even heard of this movie.
That's a John Woo movie? Like, I'm familiar with that movie. I didn't know it was a John Woo movie.
Yeah, it's a John Woo film.
Wow.
It's very obvious by the constant use of slow motion shots and
doves
every 14 seconds, so it's but I'm watching that one. If I had just stumbled across that film on Netflix or Amazon or whatever, I probably would have never watched it. But because I have it now in my collection, I'm going to throw it on and I'm going to watch it. And I'm about halfway through it right now. I'm going to probably finish it up after we're done recording the podcast. But, it's just that sort of thing, because I think one of the things about having constant access to these libraries full of movies is back in the VHS rental days, you often just went off the cover art or the title. It wasn't so much, well, who's in this and how long is it and what's this and blah, blah, blah. What's the plot?
Right.
You didn't care. If it had cool artwork, you'd watch it. Granted, 9 out of 10 times the artwork was better than the movie. But once in a while, you'd hit that movie and all of a sudden it's like, ooh, this one's awesome. And it's kind of weird going back now, kind of hunting the VHS again and finding some of these movies. And I'm giving movies a chance that I might not have otherwise, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, and it's also too with the being limited in the amount of movies that you can rent, or, your the rental library, the mom and pop shop. You didn't have that many movies, and those damn movies were always there. They would get maybe a couple of new ones in a month. It wasn't like they were getting tons in all the time, or it wasn't like every week, ooh, I gotta run to the rental store because we got the new releases in. It wasn't like that. It was
like once a month, it seemed like they would actually get new films in.
And well, I don't know about you, but my mom and pop store was a real mom and pop store, meaning they would get one copy of that new movie in, and then it would be rented out for a frickin' month. And you'd have to wait. So you would go back to renting Joe versus the Volcano, which I just bought. And, you'd sit down and watch it and be like, this is great because things happen in it and I'm watching it. Not because it's actually good, but it actually is good.
The folly of living in a small town with no access to stuff.
Right.
We were forced to love what we love out of necessity.
Yes. You didn't have a choice.
It was either that or we're going to watch the Godzilla reruns for the 900th time.
Yep.
That sort of thing. Not that I don't love Godzilla, but you got to break it up once in a while.
Well, that and, you got to measure the quality on a bell curve of sorts.
Yeah,
you only,
for sure.
You only have what you have access to. And now it's like you can flip over to Netflix. cartoonishly, my thermometer goes red and explodes whenever my kids go, but I don't have anything to watch. And I'm like, you have 12 billion things on Netflix, and that's not even counting the 70 other channels we have on Roku with free movies and shit.
Yeah. That's also like a difference in the generation.
Yeah.
Now, if you went back a couple generations before us, they only ever got to see anything in the theater. We were really the first generation that was like, where home rental was a thing,
Yeah. Let's not mince words, Thomas. We are the perfect generation because we experienced the old, we understand it. We went through the middling 80s where you had a little more access to stuff, and now that we are in the time when you have access to everything, we appreciate it more than anyone ever will from now on.
I think I agree. We're that weird generation that falls in between the millennials and Generation X and whatever, But, and it's weird you say that because I think in a lot of ways that has made me appreciate what made me a movie nerd in the beginning, from the get-go. And kind of going back to this VHS hunting has brought me back to that place that got me excited about loving movies and enjoying them and taking me from the fact I live in the middle of nowhere and giving me kind of an escape from that. This has kind of reinvigorated me as a movie fan.
Me too. Me too, totally. And especially, our Skype issues this evening included, whenever the internet goes out, or we get a storm and, stuff goes down, I'm never concerned about having something to watch.
Oh no, I'll throw something in my VCR and watch it, or my DVD player, or whatever. But yeah, that's why I really hope we never get to the point where there is no physical media anymore. I really hope not. But I hope that it remains in some capacity.
I think it will. I think there's enough of us freaks out there that will at least keep it going in some form or another. I know guys out there that do their own releases of current movies in VHS form. Like they somehow shrink them down full frame and put them on VHS and do their own cover art and release them to their friends and stuff. And that's like next level kind of weird, in my opinion. But as long as I have the physical media in some form or another, I don't care. But, it depends too if these, powers that be get their way with the internets, and, you might see a big resurgence in physical media because it'll be too cost prohibitive for streaming stuff.
Well, and I just watched a documentary. It's called Making Fun, the story of Funko.
Yeah.
And it's on Netflix. It's an awesome documentary. If you have not seen that yet, you need to watch it. Even if you're not a Funko collector, you need to watch it. It's really good. But it basically sums up our generation and, maybe the generation even like 10 years before us. And it sums it up that we're the generation of nostalgia. We grew up in that weird period. It's just like, but if most people don't realize, people our age are the generation that drives the economy because we're the ones that are we're the ones making
buying ridiculous shit.
Yeah, exactly. We're the ones that are making the silly purchases based on nostalgia, and we're the ones that fuel those markets. So
right.
It's interesting to see now, like your son's generation when they're our age, how that is going to be at that point in time. Are they going to be like going on yard sales, looking for an iPod, and I remember back in the day when we used to actually have these devices that we listened to music physically on, and I got to find an iPod that's full of music.
Who knows? They're going to be buying DVDs of YouTubers, probably.
something, the short attention span theater.
Yes. I live it. Trust me, I live it. The worst threat that I can throw down for my kids is if you don't knock off this attitude, I will delete YouTube forever. And the shrieks of horror that come up from them, it's ridiculous. But, sometimes I just get a little frustrated when we're trying to sit down as a family and watch a movie. It's a kid's movie and you can't sit still for a little bit. I know ADD is a real thing, but my kids are just, it's not ADD with them. It's just, I watch a new video every 3 minutes. Come on. We should change to something else by now.
This movie's more than 10 minutes long. The horror.
I'll be dead by the time it's over.
That's right. Life will have passed me by in a blur. I won't know. It's like, I feel like Rip Van Winkle waking up. My beard has grown. I'm looking off into the sky and the world has changed. How long has it been, good sir?
Daddy,
it's been 4
I have
minutes
experienced
and 18
life.
I am now the wiser for watching this. It was 5 minutes long. I have been injected with wisdom.
Right. We finished a full 90-minute movie and he was like, when I left you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master.
Yes. As long as you don't, pull a, order 66 or whatever there. And,
It's all right, Thomas. I always have the higher ground.
Yes. So it's how many VCRs are you up to now?
VCRs. Oh, I just got another one. I got super lucky. I was at my local comic book store picking up my pull list, and like 2 houses down, they had these signs up. I mean, and my LCS is in the ghetto, so they say they're having a house sale. It's like, okay, you really live here, right? Okay, well, next, what do you have? And I think somebody was renting the house, and then they were trying to. The landlords were trying to get rid of all their crap or something, but I found another VCR there, and it was only $5, so score. But I've got combo unit upstairs that the kids broke the DVD in, so I have the VCR on that one. I have the top loader down in my office, and then that last one that I put into the living room. So I'm up to 3. So I'm good.
That's where I'm at right
good
now.
And covered.
I've got my VCR DVD combo that's in my living room. Then on my projector for the Nerd Dungeon downstairs in the basement, where I have my little private movie theater set up now. I make this sound like I'm loaded and have this big, nice, unique theater experience going on, but it's about as low budget home theater as you can get. But I have a DVD VCR combo down there that's got an HDMI input on it.
Wow.
So it upreses everything, which is pretty cool. So I watch that when I use my projector and watch stuff on the big screen. And then I have a backup that I bought. So I have 3 right now.
That's sitting pretty. I still want a stereo output version that can also like do DVD rips of your VHS, because I have a lot of home movies that I want to put in some sort of digital form.
The one that I have upstairs is actually a DVD recorder, VHS DVD recorder.
Nice.
So,
I still keep my eyes peeled for them, but they're still a little more than I want to spend, and some of them aren't ridiculous, but it's still like $30. I'm like, I don't really need this.
I bought mine for $2 at a yard sale, so
And it works?
And it works fine. Yeah.
Lucky bastard.
So I'm gonna keep my eyes open for the VCRs and stuff like that, because I would like to have at least a couple more just in case, because we're getting to that weird point now, unless somebody else starts making them again. This might become more and more difficult to actually get a hold of them. So I would like to have a few more just to kind of box up and tuck away and have. So if one does die, I'm not like, uh-oh.
Right. I feel pretty comfortable where I'm at now with 2 that are more current and one that's an old tank that probably will never die. I'll probably outlive all of them. And it's the same with like Laserdisc players. I've got 3 of those, and I nice. keep them back. And I'm not sure how great they work, but I still have them. So
I've never even seen a Laserdisc player in the wild, so or a Betamax for that. I've never seen a Betamax or a Laserdisc player in the wild.
I have seen a Betamax in the wild, but they wanted $30 for it. I was like, I don't have any Betamax at the time. And then here, like a week ago, I went into that local exchange, and then I found a whole bunch of VHS, and I was surprised that I found 3 Warner clamshells, super cheap for $1 a piece. I was like, that's my price. I'm good with that. Turns out they were beta. But I couldn't let them pass by me because they're the Warner clamshells, even though they're beta. But it was Superman 1, 2, and 3. Again, comic book nerd kicking in. I know those, I have to have those. I don't even care if they're beta, and I can't watch them because I have a DVD set of them if I want to watch those movies. That has to go on the shelf, and now I have like 9 or 10, I think, Warner clamshells, but that's just too cool.
One. I just have the one. I have Creepshow. That's my Warner clamshell. So.
That's awesome. And those things aren't even that rare. I see them cool. And I'm like, they're so cool. They remind me of the video rental days. And I know there is a Warner clamshell of The Shining. So if I come across that one, now that would be worth a couple of bucks.
That Warner clamshell that I have actually is a old rental copy because it still has the stickers and stuff on it. So,
nice.
Yeah. It's one of those though. I own Creepshow on another format, and I will never watch that one because it looks like that was one of the original rental copies that come out when they first started renting movies out.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of afraid if I put it in a VCR, it's going to like disintegrate. So.
Yeah, I know what you mean. That's another thing I loved when I find an original, how do I word it? Probably not original would not be the right word, but one of those old school VHS copies where it has the, what tapes used to cost. For example, I got one of those Disney Movie of the Weeks I've got. And I didn't realize it till after I bought it actually, I think I got it for free. I think it was one of those, I went up and I said, hey, how much is this? And the guy said, you know what? Merry Christmas, take it home. And I was like, yay.
Well,
I opened it up and it's got a price tag inside, $79.99, $80. I was like, that's just so cool. It's like I've got a little tiny slice of cinematic history right there.
Oh yeah. Well, that's like that copy of Creepshow that I have was given to me. That wasn't even something I bought. It was something my mom was helping somebody. They bought a house out of state and they're selling their old house, and they are currently living out of state. So she's been helping, them get rid of the stuff in their house. And they had some VHS movies, and she's like, "Oh, I came across this, and they said, if there was anything I wanted, I could have it. I thought you might like this." And I'm like, holy cow. I don't even think, she didn't even realize what she handed me. And I'm like, this is an old Warner clamshell. This is an old school rental copy. Holy crap,
Yep.
So, that sort of thing, just like that stuff just makes me insanely happy and puts me in a good mood when I,
Me
find
too.
stuff like that. Is that $2 find at the yard sale the other day. I walked around with a smile on my face for the rest of the day just because I felt like I had won something, It was like, you hit that weird little, movie freak, you hit that little movie freak lottery, and I just found, deals.
Oh, I'm right there with you. And I'm a real bitch about, when I buy a new movie that I have to, the plastic has to go, the stickers have to go, that little bullshit magnetic strip, the anti-theft thing inside, that's gotta go. I like my shit clean. And with the VHS, I will take certain stickers off of it, but if they have any that are from the rental store or Be Kind Rewind, all that stuff, that stuff stays.
That's
I don't
like
remove any of it.
nostalgia, man.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Now, I don't know about you, but I'm getting to the point now already, and I've only been collecting for about a year since I kind of restarted the whole looking for VHS thing. It's been maybe not even a year, a little under, because I think it was after I started the show. So it would have been like July or August, I think, is when I actually started looking for them again. I'm running out of shelf space at this point, so I have to start figuring some things out here on what I want to display and what I don't want to display. And I think I'm going to go the route with some of it's going to just go in totes, and I'm going to mark the totes by genre, and that way I can just open them up if I'm in the mood for a certain type of film or something.
Especially after I got married, and had kids, and room is a factor, the vast majority of my collection is in the basement in totes, alphabetically organized. If I need to find something, I can find something, but there's a dozen totes down in my basement, dude. And the only stuff that's upstairs is stuff that's, valuable or, current or stuff that is on deck to watch or whatever.
Oh yeah, my DVD and Blu-ray collection will definitely not be going in totes, but the VHS collection, I think I'm gonna have to kind of organize it a little bit at some point. Not right off. I still got a little ways to go, but you know.
Oh, I'm starting to trip over mine.
I have also noticed now that I'm still finding a lot of cool stuff, but at the same time, I'm also a lot of the stuff that I originally would be looking for, I already have now. So I'm not buying giant lots of coming away from places with 15 or 20 movies anymore. Now it's, a couple here, a couple there.
Yeah.
Unless I happen to hit one of them random weird things where there's a lot of really cool stuff. A lot of the places that I hunt VHS, I'm starting to see like the same movies over and over, and I'm not seeing a lot of influx of newer stuff that I'm interested in. So it's becoming a little more difficult. And there's a few other people in my area that are hunting VHS as well. So we're competing.
Bastards.
One of them's my good friend Justin, who lives right across the street from me. He's a horror movie nerd like I am, and he happens to work at the place that sells the VHS, so he gets first dibs on horror movies,
Oh.
So more power to him, but at the same time, it's like, you bastard. He'll show me his stuff that he found that day, and I'm like, I would have bought every single one of those,
Don't tell me when you're going on vacation, because I'm all up in your base killing your dudes.
Yeah, basically, yeah. So what's, in store, I bring it back around while we're kind of wrap things up a little bit. So what's in store for the next 50 episodes of the Movie Freaks? You got anything special planned, or you got any, are you guys just going to keep being movie freaks and doing what you've been doing?
We're going to keep being movie freaks and doing what we've been doing. We're going to keep chugging along, and we're going to keep on with the roulette. There are some things that we have in the pipe, coming down the pipe eventually. It's just a matter of, if you've been listening to the show recently for a while, we've been in our personal lives dealing with some things, and, we are seeing the light at the end of the tunnel of dealing with some personal issues, which I know I'm being vague, but at the same, it's just, man, life just sometimes hands you shit, and it's hard to schedule stuff. But we definitely want to be doing more commentary tracks, which we're going to get back to that, which we're going to have you on for that, of course. We want to get into just all our stupid segments that we keep coming up with. It's just amazing. Every time I'm like, this segment is so dumb, like perfectly funny, dumb, and then we'll never think of anything funnier than this. And then somebody says something later that I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe this is so much better. That's great. Let's just the stupid shit that we just find some way to tie movies in with. It's fun. It's a total blast. Theater ticket lottery seems to be this weird thing that me and Eugene are the only people on earth that do. I don't understand how other people live, but
you guys have actually got me into keeping my tickets now when I do go to the movies.
Good.
So I have a little manila envelope that I've been throwing my recent theater tickets into. And, and the weird part is I can remember probably 90% of the movies I've ever gone and seen in the theater. But
Eugene can too. And Eugene has this weird ability, he doesn't have a photographic memory until it comes to those damn theater tickets. And he can be like, I went and saw it with this person. It has to be really something crazy happened for me to remember. But I don't know. Maybe it's because of all the Margarita Movie Mondays where I went with my friends and we drank dollar margaritas. And oh yeah, I did go watch that movie after 4 or 5 margaritas.
So I have been, so I've been saving mine just because I was like, I was like, I don't know why I never thought of that before, because it's just kind of cool to have and be able to randomly reach in and pull something out and be like, oh, I saw this movie with that person.
Yeah.
And this was this time of my life when I saw this because of the year. And it's kind of cool. So you guys, I have you to blame for another hoarding issue,
Yeah.
basically.
Sweet. You're welcome. Well, just rest assured that in the next 100 episodes, we will keep, diving in that ocean of cinema and finding those gems in the rough. And we are going to get to those commentary tracks that we've talked about once life settles down a little bit. And,
for sure.
It's gonna happen. Those are always so much fun, but you also don't want to bombard the audience with those, because that is an even bigger time commitment, because you have to line it up with a movie and, as opposed to just listening to it on your way to work.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, exactly. So, man, thanks very much for coming on and dealing with the, Skype issues that we've gone through today. Hopefully, through the magic of editing, you guys won't notice. If not, there's going to be some big gaps of silence, and I apologize. So before we go, do you have any, plug the show? Where can people find the Movie Freaks and get a hold of you guys?
We're on just about every place that you can listen to a podcast, at least all the major ones. Go to facebook.com/moviefreakspod. That's where we do, I share a fair amount of trailers and a little bit of movie news, but we don't bombard you with this shit, just enough to keep you informed. I don't know where else. We're on the Twitter, Movie Freaks Pod. Movie Freaks Pod is basically your keyword for all the social media sites. You can find us. We're pretty easy to track down.
Awesome, man. Well, again, thank you for being on. Before we go, I'd like to thank my sponsors, the Maine Cannababes. Go to www.maincannababes.com and you can find all kinds of very cool information about legislation, causes that they're supporting. When the new calendar is going to be out, you can meet the babes on there and find out if they're doing events and stuff where you can go and actually meet them, get your picture taken with them, all that sort of thing. So maincannababes.com. Again, I'd like to thank Erik for coming on and chatting. And, it's pretty easy to kill an hour or two with a fellow movie nerd and friend. So I appreciate it. And I always enjoy talking to you, man.
Likewise. Thanks for having me on.
And I'd like to thank everybody for listening to the show. And I want to leave you with this little bit of advice. Remember, kids, opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one. And I will see you sexy animals on the flip side.